Speaking. For those participating by video conference, click on the microphone icon to activate your mic, and please mute yourself when you are not speaking. For those on Zoom, at the bottom of your screen, you can select the appropriate channel for interpretation, either Floor, English, or French. A reminder that all comments should be addressed through the chair. And with that, for our today's meeting, I would like to welcome our witnesses. The Honorable Evan Solomon, Minister of Artificial Intelligence and Digital Innovation. Welcome, Minister. And also from the Department of Industry, we have Mark Shan, Associate Deputy Minister. Minister, you will have 5 minutes for your opening remarks, and then we will go to the round of questioning. Please, the floor is yours. Thanks a lot for appearing before the committee.
Merci, Madame la Présidente. Merci, members of the committee. Thank you for the opportunity once again to appear before you today. As you say, Madam Chair, I am joined by officials from my department. I appreciate the committee's interest in this work. L'intelligence artificielle évolue rapidement.
Artificial intelligence is evolving quickly, and Canadians know it.
School, in healthcare, in their daily lives, sometimes with excitement, Madam Chair, and sometimes with concern. Around the world, countries are racing to turn new ideas into real-world tools and real-world jobs. C'est vrai ici, comme ailleurs dans le monde.
That's true here as elsewhere in the world.
Technology responsibly in ways that people can trust and actually make life better for them. AI is meant to serve people, not the other way around. When I was appointed as Canada's first Minister of Artificial Intelligence and Digital Innovation, it sent a clear signal. Canada is not going to sit on the sidelines of this transformation. We intend, indeed, to help lead it in a way that delivers real benefits to all Canadians. To do that, my mandate is anchored in one core principle and 3 pillars. The core principle, Madam Chair, is simple. AI for all. L'IA pour tous. And the 3 pillars are build, empower, and protect. AI for all, l'IA pour tous, means this. No matter where you live in Canada, no matter your background, no matter your age, no matter your income, this technology will work for you responsibly, reliably, and safely. It will strengthen our economy. It will deliver better public services. It will create good jobs for Canadians and protect people, especially children and vulnerable communities, from harm. AI for all is not a slogan. It's already being put into action. And it is guiding the final stages of our refreshed national AI strategy, which we will launch this quarter. That strategy is being shaped by real input, ideas shared by Canadians through our portal, our public portal, expert advice from our AI task force, and insights from researchers, workers, and industry leaders across the country. The goal is simple, to set a clear direction where Canada is going for AI and how we get there on our own terms. Let me briefly walk you through what it means in practice, the 3 pillars: build, empower, and protect. First, build. We will build a strong, sovereign, safe AI foundation to drive economic growth and create prosperity. And that first requires infrastructure, Madam Chair. In plain terms, it requires the computing power that allows Canadian companies, especially the small and medium-sized companies that make up 95% of our economy, to build, use, and scale new technologies here at home. It's why we launched Canada's Sovereign AI Compute Strategy, backed by a $2 billion investment, including the AI Compute Access Fund. This is about making sure Canadian firms have access to the tools they need to grow, compete, and create jobs right here at home. Building on this work, Budget 2025 allows our government to enter into agreements to support the development of AI data centres here in Canada, strengthening our digital infrastructure and expanding our domestic compute capacity. In real terms, that means more opportunities for Canadian innovators, more resilience for our economy, and more jobs staying right here at home. It's also about modern digital sovereignty. Sovereignty is not isolation. It means having the capacity to choose where we build, where we scale, and where value stays. It means keeping Canadian intellectual property here in Canada. So we're not simply a farm team for other economies, but a country that builds and benefits from our own innovation. C'est une question de souveraineté numérique.
It's a question of digital sovereignty and a choice for Canada.
Canada already has extraordinary strengths in talent and research. Our three national AI institutes, Mila in Montreal, Vector in Toronto, and Amy in Edmonton, are global anchors of excellence built by the pioneers who helped shape and build modern AI. Our focus is now to shorten the distance between impact and insight, turning Canada's world-leading AI science into real adoption, higher productivity, and companies that scale right here at home, including through initiatives like the brand new $100 million Venture Science Fund launched by Mila and Innovia just a number of weeks ago. That progress only matters if Canadians are part of it. That fund will help turn scientists' ideas into new businesses. Investing in skills and training is essential in making sure people in every region succeed in an AI-driven economy. Il s'agit d'emplois de...
It's about jobs, skills, and the future for Canadians.
Of advanced technology, quantum. Most people don't think about quantum every day, but it does matter, Madam Chair. Quantum technologies will shape the future of security, encryption, and computing power. Investing now ensures that Canada stays ahead using Canadian tech to protect Canadian interests. Through the new Canadian Quantum Champions program, announced in December, we're supporting Canadian headquartered quantum companies anchoring talent and expertise here at home. I know we're running short.
If you can wind up.
Yeah. Third pillar is protect, and trust underpins everything. That's why we launched the Canadian AI Safety Institute. That's why we're committed to modernizing our privacy framework to protect Canadians' data, safeguard children online, and ensure that as AI evolves, people's rights, data, and privacy remain safe and the center of our approach. AI is moving quickly, Madam Chair, so are we. That's why I'm so glad to be here to talk about our new plan, how to make sure we build a reliable, safe, and prosperous Canada using AI as a tool to serve Canadians.
Thank you, Minister. We will now start our round of questioning, and first round will be of 6 minutes each, and we will start that with MP Baldinelli. Please go ahead. You have 6 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Minister, for being here today. But I must say I'm a little disappointed in your appearance today. When this committee passed a motion on December 1st, the requirement or the ask, which was passed unanimously by this committee, was for you to appear for 2 hours. And yet somehow last week we found out that you've changed your schedule and you're only appearing for an hour today. In your remarks, you use words like racing, and your policy program talks about a national sprint and a focus sprint. So why are you racing out the door after only 1 hour today?
First of all, I'm delighted to be back here, Madam Chair, and I appreciate the invitation. As you know, I was delighted to appear in December for an hour, and when I was asked back to appear again, I'm delighted to appear today to talk about the mandate, and I'm here with my team to answer any questions.
Perhaps you can stay for the full 2 then, if that's the case. Minister, you talk about the strategy, AI for all, and one of the key pillars is to build, and you use the words build strong, sovereign, safe, and to do that requires an infrastructure. Just at our last hearing, Minister, we had representatives from Electricity Canada, OPG, and Canada's Nuclear Association. Would you not agree that energy will be one of the fundamental needs of the build infrastructure required for successful AI implementation in this country?
Yeah, it's another great question. You're absolutely right. Part of building sovereign AI will require building infrastructure. And that's why I've had meetings with the provinces and territories. And as you know, that's a very big part of both the provinces and the territories to make sure that they've got the infrastructure available to build a prosperous Canada.
So, Minister, why not, as part of the National Task Force study, that race, that sprint to get that study, why were these stakeholder groups, these important stakeholder groups, excluded from the National Task Force?
Again, as you are aware, we have now published the reports of our 28 task force members. They're available to the public in both official languages, as I talked about. And indeed, questions about infrastructure and energy are very much surfaced in our task force. And again, as you know, I work very closely with Minister Hodgson and our other ministers who are building the infrastructure.
If I can please request one person at a time, please allow the minister to answer the question.
One data center alone, my understanding, could be 300 megawatts. The small modular reactor currently being built in Darlington is 300 megawatts itself. Without safe, reliable power, our AI strategy is doomed to failure. The Independent Electricity System Operator did a study in 2023 that showed to move Ontario to a clean grid by 2050, it's going to take from 42,000 megawatts to 88,000 megawatts. It was going to cost $400 billion and require 6 times the 14,000 workers currently in the field. How are we going to go about that if we're going to grow an AI sector, industry, sovereign, and AI for all without a clean, reliable source of energy?
Madam Chair, I'm very glad to raise the issue of energy, the new nuclear facility at Darlington, which the member may know. The federal government has announced our investment of $2 billion in. That will generate 3,500 megawatts of power. We are very well aware of small modular nuclear reactors that Ontario has invested in. I was literally, we have the North Coast Transmission Line project in BC that we're supporting as well. But again, in Alberta, for example, just remember that it is provincial regulators that are in charge of the energy grids. That's why you saw the Alberta Energy Regulator release 1,200 megawatts that will go towards data center. Again, we work with the provinces, but as you are well aware, it is the regulators of the province that release those their power allocations.
Now, Minister, going to the MOU agreement that you have with Cohere to examine AI efficiencies within the government, are there any guardrails with regards to Cohere's participation? They're going to be providing you with a report, I would imagine, as part of this MOU on what could take place and how AI can be implemented. Well, will there be, for example, a procurement process put in place, for example, or will they simply prepare a report to say that they have the capabilities to assist government and provide the functionality that you need? Would it not be better if we had an open, fair, and transparent procurement process in place? Is that in the MOU?
Thanks for the question. And again, we are very delighted to have signed a memorandum of understanding with Cohere. Again, we are one of the 4 countries that have a large language model. The U.S. has a bunch. China has a bunch. There's one in France. And here in Canada, we have Cohere. We believe that is strategically important. We are very happy to have signed a memorandum of understanding. And they are going through the exact proper channels to make sure that how they are used inside government to find efficiencies in government as part of that process and as part of our Office of Government Transformation is very important to use and buy Canadian to be customer for Canadian companies.
My question is, have you legally engaged Cohere then to provide those services? And if so, was there an open, fair, and transparent procurement process?
Time is up, so maybe you can get an opportunity to respond in the second round. We will now proceed to MP Rana for 6 minutes. MP Rana, please go ahead.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, and thank you very much, Minister Salmon, for being here with us. Within my riding of Hamilton Centre, universities and research institutions are leading advances in artificial intelligence. So as the Minister responsible for Economic Development Agency for Southern Ontario, in your view, what potential does AI have to drive economic growth and productivity in Southern Ontario, please?
First of all, thank you for the question. I really appreciate that. When we say AI for all, AI is going to benefit all provinces, and I hope Canadians listening to this appreciate that it is, even though I'm the Minister of Economic Development for Southern Ontario. In my capacity as Minister of AI and Digital Innovation, we are making sure that this benefits all Canadians across this country from coast to coast to coast, whether it's rural or urban. Part of our goal of the national AI strategy is to make sure that we are building the infrastructure, supporting the small, medium-sized businesses through things like our AI Compute Fund, through things like our $300 million Compute Access Fund, to make sure that small, medium-sized businesses have access to the compute power they need to grow their business. We were very pleased, by the way, to know that when we opened that fund up in the summer, over 1,000 applicants applied. In other words, the demand for that and for that kind of support in our innovation economy is very strong. I should say one last thing, although Federal Economic, FedDev as it's called, Federal Economic Development Southern Ontario, and I know this is where the member's riding is really important. We have a special fund for artificial intelligence as well. And since in the last decade, we've invested more than $420 million in projects that have had a component of AI adoption. And remember, many of those investments are zero interest loans to companies that they repay them back. By the way, in every riding, this is in conservative ridings, liberal ridings, where their innovation is happening, and we're very, very proud of that. Again, in Ontario alone, there's 400,000 workers in the innovation sector. Across this country, the fastest growing job sector is the digital sector. Over 800,000 people work in that sector, and about 150,000 people already in the AI sector alone. So investing in this has already been hugely impactful and really created good jobs for Canadians.
Thank you very much, and I'm thankful to you for announcing $1 million for my riding, and I'm expecting more as well. Thank you. So my next question is, how does the government plan to protect our digital sovereignty while negotiating with an increasingly hostile southern neighborhood?
Would the member mind repeating the question, Madam Chair?
Yeah, how does this government plan to protect our digital sovereignty while negotiating with an increasingly hostile southern neighbor?
Thank you so much for the question. The member's question is actually a core question to our national strategy, Madam Chair, which is why the Prime Minister asked me and the department to accelerate our AI national strategy by almost 2 years. Because the importance to build the sovereign AI, to make sure that we have the not just the data centers and the talent, but we have to make sure that we have the ability to drive commercialization. So we have a great talent and research ecosystem here. This is going to be enhanced by our $1.7 billion talent attraction strategy, which will attract 1,000 new scientists and labs to Canada, which is the most aggressive in the G7, which we're very proud of. But we've got to make sure that we can translate that into commercialization in order to keep the jobs and the intellectual property here. And if the member won't mind for 1 minute, why is that so important? Just so folks appreciate, in the data economy, in the AI economy, having control over your intellectual property is really important because we don't want to essentially pay rent to use other countries' material. And if we build it here and keep it here, it means that we're growing the jobs and the innovation here in Canada. That is really core part of sovereignty. And one final part is making sure that we have the skilled workforce to use these tools, and we're investing in that as well.
That's my next question. Actually, given recent changes, what is the government doing to ensure top global talent can come here quickly and contribute to our research ecosystem?
Again, I appreciate the question very much. The talent attraction stream is really important. It's built on a good foundation. We have our 3 national institutes that we started. And again, some Canadians may not appreciate these, but we have in Toronto Vector, headed by Geoffrey Hinton, who won the Nobel Prize and essentially is the godfather of AI. also the Turing Prize. In Montreal, we have Mila, headed by Joshua Bengio. He won the Turing Prize. It's like the Nobel Prize in technology. And then in Edmonton, we have Amy, the Machine Learning Institute. And that's headed by another scientist named Rich Sutton, also a Turing Prize winner. So we've got 3 institutes that are churning out the best and the brightest. They're working with universities like Sherbrooke, University of Toronto, Waterloo, University of Victoria, BC, and we have great talent. We've got to keep them here. The first way to do that is to attract more talent to come with this talent attraction stream. So not only the scientists, but the labs come. That means the students come, and that means the innovation comes here. And I will say our CFAR chairs and our research chairs are turning out incredible work in journals.
Thank you. Time is up for MP Rana. We will now proceed to MP Blanchet-Joka for 6 minutes. Please go ahead.
Merci beaucoup, Madame la Présidente. Je salue, Monsieur le Ministre.
Thank you, Chair. Hello, Mr. Minister. I very much appreciated some of your words, including the following sentence, and I hope it was shared with your colleagues. Sovereignty is not isolation. So you would understand Quebec's sovereignty is not isolation. It's connection with the nations of the world. But let us return to the subject at hand. It has to do with AI. You came here on December 3rd. I asked simple questions to you with respect to your public consultations, and you said that 11,300 public contributions were made, and you were very happy with this consultation because it was the best digital consultation in the history of the industry. And you said the process is completely transparent and this will all be published online soon. So, Mr. Minister, when will all of these contributions be made available online?
J'ai des bonnes nouvelles aujourd'hui.
Thank you for the question. I've got good news.
Today, the department has posted not only all of the Task Force 28 reports online, but summaries of the 11,000 interventions and contributions, which we really appreciate from the public. So that is all online, and I'm glad you asked about it, so it's all available now.
Monsieur le Ministre, c'est en ligne présentement. Tout le monde
Minister, it's online right now. Everyone can access it.
en ligne depuis quand exactement?
So how long has it been online?
The exact time, but I think it went on very recently.
Pouvez-vous demander à votre
Yeah, I think
sous-ministre?
Could you ask your deputy minister?
Les 28 soumissions de membres de la Task Force ont été publiées.
The task force submissions were published today, this afternoon, and
what
the
is the
summary of
cameraman
all
doing?
the other submissions are being published now. You think or you know? Perhaps I can look at my phone. You saying that it's one of the most important consultation processes in history, and you're not able to agree among yourselves what the date was. And I'm not talking about the expert committee. I'm talking about the public consultations where we received 11,300 contributions today. Okay. And the expert consultations have been online since when? Today? Now. It's now public. So the deputy minister is saying January 28th. Can you come to an agreement on your dates?
Expert testimony, as I understand it, everything went online today, is public, and should be accessible right now.
Parfait. Alors, écoutez, Monsieur le Ministre, je comprends la confusion. Ça fait beaucoup de...
Minister, I understand 11,300. It's a lot of submissions, but people need to trust and understand what you're saying, and there seems to be a bit of confusion. So I would invite you to maybe talk to one another before the meetings. It's important what we're doing today. You've spoken about leadership, and in AI, there's no legislative framework, and we don't have the compute capacity to be operational. We have no specific rules on data management and voluntary mechanisms. So if we want to have the strongest engine, but if we don't have the brakes, and if we don't have a legislative framework, that's what I'm seeing now. Thank you for your questions.
As I have promised, provide a update of Canada's privacy and data laws, the PIPEDA. We are finalizing the legislation, which is very important, and I'm glad you're asking about it. People do need to know that the legislation still exists. It's not a void, but we need to update it. And it's important to update it, and we will be putting that legislative framework, that piece of legislation forward soon. We're just putting the finishing touches on it to get it right.
D'accord. Monsieur le ministre, vous dites la législation qui a encore l'intégrité.
Minister, you're saying the legislation exists? Well, what's the name of the act? I'm not aware of anything.
We will be tabling, as I said, we will be tabling the legislation very shortly. We're working on it, and we will be tabling it.
D'accord. À quelle date, Monsieur le ministre, vous allez déposer ça?
When?
Tabling it as soon as we believe it's ready. But I think it's important not to rush. We got to move quickly, but we got to move prudently and responsibly. This technology is changing quickly, and we've got to make sure that we've got this right to make sure that Canadians' privacy, data, are protected, while at the same time making sure that we are not constraining innovation. So it's a very important balance.
C'est important de ne pas forcer les choses, mais c'est
It's important that we don't force anything, but it's also important to have a plan to reassure people. You come here today and you don't know your dates on when your documents have been made public. You don't have any date for tabling a bill to provide a framework for AI. Minister, this is serious. Do you really have a plan? Or are you just flying on the seat of your pants?
The documents went public. I'm happy to talk about those. We will very shortly have a piece of legislation on privacy. And as I say, we will be launching and introducing our AI national strategy this quarter. We're very much looking forward to it. And we're working hard to make sure it's comprehensive and it provides AI for all and is a responsible plan.
à quelle date la stratégie va être déposée, Monsieur le ministre?
When will the strategy be tabled, Mr. Minister?
This quarter. And we are making sure that we get the exact right
Projet de
strategy.
loi, pas de date sur votre stratégie. Vous savez pas où vous en allez?
You don't seem to know where you're going.
I appreciate the enthusiasm. It'll be coming very soon.
Thank you. Sorry for interrupting. Time is up for MP Blanchet-Jonca. We will now start our second round of 5 minutes and 2.5 minutes. And we will start with MP Ho for 5 minutes. Please go ahead.
Thanks, Madam Chair. So, Minister Solomon, you announced throughout last year that your government's going to implement adopt AI into the government to deliver better service for Canadians. So, what kind of job cuts are we talking about in the public service? So, Amazon recently announced that they had to cut 16,000 jobs globally because of AI adoption. So, I'm wondering, for an enterprise like the federal government, how many jobs we're talking about?
Thanks for the question. I think we are very proud of the program of savings that this government has overseen because we believe in investing in people, more money for programs. AI is meant to enhance the capability of our government to serve Canadians. And as we adopt AI, it should help the service. Let me give you one example. We created an AI tool to help us summarize and work with the 11,000 submissions. That could have taken between 8 and 9 months, but we did it in about 8 days. That's the kind of savings I think people and efficiencies people would like to see.
That's good to know that you're endeavoring to improve service for Canadians. I think we can all agree that that's a great endeavor. But so you're saying no jobs are going to be cut? Because you just answered my question with you're going to improve service without cutting those jobs.
I'm saying we are committed as a government to finding efficiencies and to find savings and to serve Canadians better. And if we use Canadian technology and Canadian AI tools to make sure that we deliver faster, better service, we'll invest in that.
So where are those savings coming from? I mean, you just said, you're going to improve, you endeavor to improve service delivery, and then you're going to find savings somehow. So, where are the savings coming from? And of course, implementing those AI tools are going to have a cost, too. So where are those savings coming from?
Well, let me just say I am delighted that the member is enthusiastic about the use of efficient tools. I know during the campaign, your party wanted to cut all funding for AI initiatives to zero.
How much is how much is the adoption of AI going to cost the government? I mean, there's going to be a cost associated with implementing AI, and then hopefully we're going to see some savings down the road. But how much is the initial cost going to be?
Well, we believe that investing in Canadian tech companies is an important role. We believe government has a job not only to buy in Canada, and that's why we did the memorandum of understanding with Cohere, and that's why all all procurement will go through SSC and PSPC, and will follow all the processes.
So there's going to be more procurement. So there's going to be more buying, more spending. So where are the costs? You said there's going to be efficiencies and cost savings. So where are they going to come from? Can you just name one example?
Well, I did name an example.
You named an example of how to improve service delivery, but you didn't name an example of cutting costs. You said there's going to be costs going to be cut. Is it going to be headcount or program cuts or?
Again, I know this member understands business, and I know if you can use a tool and you can utilize an AI to cut time that it would take a department to go from 8 months to 8 days, that frees us up to do other things.
I do understand.
1% at a time.
Where would that excess time?
Please, Allah. Yes, 1 second. Stop the clock. Yes, point of.
Je voudrais juste mentionner, lorsque mon collègue parle en même temps que le témoin.
When my colleague's speaking at the same time as the witness, I'm having trouble hearing the interpretation, so it's difficult to hear the interpretation.
One person should speak at a time and allow the witness to please answer the question, because it creates, if two people are speaking, it creates interpretation problem.
Thank you. So I'll rephrase the question. So you just mentioned that there's going to be excess time for those public servants. What are you going to do with that time? Are we going to have them do more, or are we just going to have them do less because now they don't need to do as much with all the tools that are going to be implemented?
It's a great question. Again, I absolutely appreciate it. We have a huge mandate. We have so much work to do as a government to make sure that we're investing the right dollars in our infrastructure. That's why we have the Compute Access Fund. That's why the Public Compute Fund. We have diligence to do on all of that to make sure that our investments are done wisely. We have to make sure that our plan is implemented.
So you mentioned
so there's lots of work to do. I assure you there's lots of work.
How do you measure whether those investments are done wisely? Do you have any metrics or tools you're going to use?
Yeah, and again, a great question. Every time that there is an investment, for example, in our Public Compute Access Fund, there is a diligence process to make sure that these companies qualify, that they are spending it in a way that will help their business and promote innovation here in Canada. Every program's got KPIs, and that we're making sure that our investments are done wisely.
Time is up for MP Ho, and now we will proceed to MP McKelvey for 5 minutes. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Minister, for joining us again to share your work on AI. Last week, we heard from witnesses about the importance of AI in production and distribution of electricity. How are you working with energy companies to unleash the power of AI?
Thanks for the question. And again, we are at this historic transformation. And we know that we've got this moment of a political realignment happening at the same time as a technological transformation. And that means the incentive to become sovereign, to build a sovereign country and our sovereign infrastructure is really critical. And your question about energy and safe, efficient energy grid is critical not only to our country, but of course to our government's plan across government. That's why we've got the Major Projects Office to help do that. That's why Minister Hodgson is seized with that. That's why we're working so closely with the provinces. We speak regularly to our provinces. In fact, just in the last number of weeks, I've had the federal, provincial, territory series of meetings, so I can find out exactly what kind of grid capacity the provinces are estimating they need to fulfill not just the economy of the future and AI, but there's grid capacity they need for lots of other projects. They included discussions of electricity and infrastructure. One of the things I should say is, well, we do need electricity to power this AI revolution, to create jobs and serve Canadians. AI is also serving the electricity grid. And I just want to say that I was here in Ottawa through NRCan's Energy Innovation Program. And I was at Hydro Ottawa. I was with Minister Hodgson. We invested $6 million here. The program, they've built this remarkable AI here to predict demand and to optimize the grid. So what does that mean in sort of real world? It means that they can be significantly more efficient. They can make sure that in peak moments they won't have outages. They can manage their supply and they can manage people's rates. So there's AI working on both sides. It's both helping to power the economy of the future, but it's also helping to manage our energy supply more efficiently.
Yeah, I'm certainly excited about smart grids and what can come from that. So data centers, though, as you mentioned, do have large energy requirements. How are we planning for this increased demand? Are we having conversations about them on what sort of technologies they could use at site, or how they can really make sure that these are built in, or trying to site them in locations where there is energy demand? How are we working in that regard?
It's a great question, and I should say recently in Quebec City, I was visiting a data center called Qscale, privately invested, a remarkable facility there, clean energy. This is a clean energy facility, about 170 megawatts. They've built about half of it. It's a brand new facility. It's highly secure. It is clean energy. They use what's called a closed-looped water system, so they're reusing water, so they're not draining the water supply at all. They have their own step-down power, so it's very efficient. They've got redundancy. They're creating jobs, hundreds and hundreds of jobs for many years to build the facility, and then they create a big ecosystem. They've invested over $1.2 billion into the Quebec economy. That's one company. So it shows you that, they're working with, in that case, Hydro-Quebec, and they're working very closely with the Quebec government. In Alberta, AESO, the regulator there, has released some grid power, about 1.2 gigawatts of grid power to build data centers. That's driving billions of dollars in investment there, and that's why the Premier of Alberta or the Minister Nate Glubish are so pleased to see that the energy is being used to drive investment, and that's happening. But it's also why, and I'll just reiterate, why we're investing $2 billion at the new nuclear facility at Darlington. The province of Ontario also put in $1 billion because we all recognize that we need to build out our electricity grids. They need to be reliable, they need to be safe, and they need to be used to serve Canadians.
I'll squeeze in one more. Canada has really, I think punched above our weight in AI with the pan-Canadian strategy. How are we making sure that we're going to use our AI ecosystem and make sure that we stay competitive internationally? How are we going to keep that lead?
It's a great question. We have the lead in science and research. We are among the top in the world in terms of publications in journals, patents. We've been a leader. The real challenge for us and why we're relaunching the mission is to make sure that we convert that remarkable scientific lead that we've got at our universities, at our national research, at our national AI institutes, and we convert that into commercialization. How are we doing that? That is why we're investing in our Compute Access Fund to make sure that our small, medium-sized businesses have access to the tools. And that's why we're investing in the infrastructure.
Thank you. Now time is up for MP McKelvey. We will proceed to MP Blanchet-Jonca for 2.5 minutes. Please go ahead.
Madame la Présidente. Monsieur le Ministre, vous avez...
Thank you, Chair. Minister, you just said that the 11,300 submissions were available on the internet, but I just checked. There's a summary of the submission. So what you said, first of all, is false information. It's not correct. That's been made public. So how do you expect the public to trust you if you refuse to tell us publicly who participated in these consultations, and which will allow you to come up with the AI strategy?
The honorable member checks the record. I said the summaries would be online. It's exactly what I said. The summaries are online. As I said, those were my words earlier in the committee. I am happy if he goes back and reads the record on that.
Alors, pourquoi vous refusez de nous dire qui a...
So why won't you tell us who participated in the consultations, the names and what they said? Why do you not want to provide this information to the public?
the summaries of the over 11,000 members of the public who contributed to this summary, and we're not publishing the names of 11,000 Canadians here, but we are giving a summary of exactly what they said, and that's a very transparent process, along with the 28 task force members, as the honourable member, le député, asked, and we're very happy that it's available now for him to see.
Bon, Monsieur le ministre, rappelez-moi.
Minister, remind me if you have a few things you have an expertise on. Journalistic standards, transparency strengthens credibility. So you're saying that your public consultations, 11,300 people, you've provided a summary, and you're saying that, oh, we're going to be able to be trustworthy and transparent. Have you forgotten what transparency standards are, Mr. Minister?
Merci pour la question. We are very...
Thank you for your question.
We had a public consultation, which, by the way, was very valuable. I thank the members of the public for contributing. I thank the 28 members of the task force. We've published those for everybody to see and to read. We selected 28 members, and I urge the public to read those very, very profoundly interesting submissions.
Monsieur le ministre ou Monsieur le journaliste.
Minister or Mr. Reporter, sources mean transparency, and you're not telling us who your sources are, the ones that will influence your AI strategy. So don't suggest that you're being transparent today.
And we will now proceed to MP Mahal for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Minister, thanks for coming for the questioning. Have you heard of chatbot, Charlie?
Chatbot, yes.
Okay. It's a CRA chatbot with $18 million that allows Canadians to ask questions in regards to taxes and CRA?
Yes.
Okay. And do you also know that the Auditor General report, the Auditor General mentioned that that $18 million chatbot only answered 2 correct questions out of 6 questions that were asked to test?
I don't know the figures. I'm not familiar with the figures on chatbot, Charlie.
Okay. And if I may tell you that is only 33% of the average answers, the percentage of the correction that comes out of that AI chatbot that CRA heavily invested in. Would that be okay?
But it's your time.
And if I take that example, does all the government AI gives wrong answers to majority of the time?
Again, the process. I'm not familiar with the process of who built chatbot Charlie, and again, I'm happy to investigate that. But I would be very hesitant, as any good analysis is not to infer results of one thing to another. That is not what one would do. One would investigate every single circumstance as opposed to draw conclusions based on an anecdote.
Minister, the Auditor General themselves confirmed that out of 6 questions asked, the chatbot was only able to answer 2 questions correctly. So that takes us to a 33% of correct answer ratio. So my question was simple. Does all government AI give wrong answers to majority of the time, to the majority of questions? Yes or no?
Again, I really appreciate the question, and I won't comment on this specific situation, but I will say that we are working very closely on any system inside government to deliver accurate services, and if it's not accurate, there's a process to fix it. I don't have a comment on that particular incident.
And you don't have an answer, or you perhaps don't want to give that answer, that's fine. Let's move on to the next question, Minister. So if I take the same example of same robot that is technically doing the job of a CRA agent, correct?
Again, you're asking me about CRA,
I'm asking you about the AI that was put for CRA.
Right. If I may, I'm happy you're asking. As you know, all public servants are subject to Treasury Board rules.
Minister,
You know,
I only have limited time, and this is not what my question
and
is.
CRA is not necessarily.
If can please allow the minister to respond to the question and one person at a time, because it creates interpretation
With due
problems.
respect, Madam Chair, if the minister is dodging my questions, then my time is eaten out. So I have to stop the minister if the minister is not directing on the question and is going off the question line.
But I can clarify, though. The broader public service is subject to Treasury Board. That would avoid those situations. As you know, CRA is not subject to those TBS rules. So it's a little more difficult for me to comment on that.
Let's move on, Minister. How many years of technical or regulatory experience do you have to be appointed on this AI intelligence ministry?
How many, just repeat the question?
How many years of technical and regulatory experience do you hold so that you were appointed as a Minister of AI?
Well, I've been working in this industry, as you know. I started the first digital magazine, Shift Magazine, over 25 years ago. I spent many years in the digital industry, and I've been working in this industry in my former job as well. We had a very deep focus on AI, but I have not sat on a regulatory body.
So you do not have any technical degree or regulatory diploma that backs up you as an AI minister? Yes or no?
A regulatory diploma, no. Yeah, I'm not sure what a regulatory diploma is,
Okay,
but maybe the member can tell me what. I'm happy to look into where I can get a regulatory diploma. I don't know what
diploma
that is.
By diploma, I mean, do you have any technical formal degree or course that puts you in a position that you hold the required education that you're supposed to have?
Well, again, let me just answer the honourable member. I'm not sure what litmus test people have to get into politics. I've been an entrepreneur. I know your leader has never been in private business before, but he's the leader. That's fantastic. I welcome anybody to join the public service and serve and get results.
I love the way the
Sorry
member
for
dribbles the
interrupting.
question.
Time is up. MP Mahal, your time is up. And please be respectful of the witnesses and allow them to answer the question. We will now proceed to MP Deschamps-Terrien for 5 minutes. Please go ahead.
Aujourd'hui, comme vous le savez, au Canada,
As you know, in Canada, we have AI expertise at an international caliber over the last decade. There are a number of local skills that have been developed in our universities, as well as in our big ones and small ones. So I'd like to hear from you within the framework of our AI national strategy. How will we support expertise, innovation, and development of capacities in a targeted manner in AI in these post-secondary institutions, regardless of their size? Thank you for your good question. I agree that small and large post-secondary institutions are extremely important. For example, UNB, Acadia, plays a very important role within their community and their economy.
CFAR chairs, and I think they play a really important role, and they're critical to our AI strategy, which I'm glad to talk about. Almost $443 million in federal funding committed to chairs that really support higher education and drive that higher education. And they're going to continue to feature prominently in our national AI strategy. And when I look forward to sharing that very soon with this committee and with the members. Our AI leadership is rooted, as you talk about, in our universities and our post-secondary. We have world-class education institutions, and I've named some. Many of our universities across this great country, from Waterloo and Sherbrooke and UBC and University of Alberta, some fantastic institutes, and colleges, by the way, play a huge role, Le Collège aussi. The National AI Institutes, as I've talked about, Mila and Amy and Vector, the Canadian CFAR AI chairs are core assets. So all of those are contributing to our research strength, and they're attracting the top talent who come to Canada, and that's really important, and create the environments. And I do want to say one thing, because I know there's concern about jobs, and making sure that we've got the education to give the skills and the training to Canadians, not just when they're in post-secondary, from K to 12, but which is a provincial responsibility. But we believe it's very important as well to make sure people have the skills and training in colleges and post-secondary university, and even beyond that, to have the skills to benefit from this. So we're ensuring that our education system is core to building this economy of the future.
Merci. Comme vous le mentionnez,
Thank you. And as you mentioned, AI has the potential of having effects on our economy. Our government has a mandate to strengthen Canada's economy.
Just get a sound check with the translation.
Okay, can you just stop the watch?
Just
Yeah, we will stop the watch and have a check.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
That's fine. Oh, it is quiet.
Could we start interpretation again?
test. Est-ce que vous m'entendez maintenant?
Can you hear me now?
Appreciate it.
How much time do I have left?
About a minute and 17 seconds.
17.5.
Merci. Donc, ma question.
Thank you. So my question, we're investing in research in AI. I'd like to know, how are we going to make sure that the advancements in research will encourage innovation within our businesses and improve the Canadian economy? How will we promote a synergy between the private sector, investors, our research centers, and public institutions?
Thank
you again for your question.
Supporting the commercialization of our research and to make sure that we're driving the ability of our great researchers to keep their ideas and their innovation here in Canada. So how are we supporting that? One of them through our clusters like Scale AI, that we help these companies scale their technologies and their ideas here and form companies and gain access to capital. That's really important. Our institutes also help create, innovation hubs. And again, I point to just last week a really great development that I'm very happy to talk about. And I know we've been asked, what are we doing in concrete fashion recently? But just a couple of weeks ago, one of Canada's best venture capital funds, so they invest in businesses, Innovia partnered with Mila, our institute in Montreal, our AI institute, alongside Amy and Vector, to make sure that scientists who work have and who may not know how to translate their great ideas into business, they have the capacity to do that, the seed funding, and even the mentorship to do that. That makes sure that those ideas stay here in Canada.
Time is up for MP Ontario, and we will end this panel at 4:35, and we will have 2 minutes each for each party. So before we end this panel, and then the minister will leave, and we will have a round of questioning with the officials. So 2 minutes for MP Baldinelli. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Minister, on December 15th, you announced a major new quantum initiative. And as part of Phase 1, the government has signed agreements with 4 Canadian headquartered firms for up to $23 million each to accelerate the development of fault-tolerant quantum computers that demonstrate industrial application. What are the guardrails that exist in terms of those agreements with each company? Because it says Canadian headquartered companies. What's to stop or preclude one of those companies from hiring U.S. firms?
First of all, I really appreciate you raising this because it's important that we keep our quantum companies here. There is a program, as the Madam Chair, I'm sure the honourable member knows, in the U.S. that some of them qualify for a U.S. program, and we're concerned, of course, that companies might leave and take that IP elsewhere. We want to keep it here. We are very happy that the Canadian Quantum Champions program is doing just that. Within the agreements, there are standard agreements on taking any money that would preclude a change of ownership or change of location. So these are very standard kind of contract agreements to make sure that if we're supporting companies, they stay here in Canada, they keep their IP here, and they keep us secure.
Minister, also in the short time available, again, what we're finding in our discussions and conversations with the stakeholders have come forward, I mean, again, energy is going to play a huge role in moving forward with any AI strategy. And right now, currently, we don't have the grid capacity, we don't have the number of workers required, don't have the required power needed. How are we going to move forward in a situation where that increased demand is just going to put such demand on prices that prices will increase? What's going to be the impact on the average consumer at home if we run into a situation where these huge AI data centers are demanding power and they're demanding power at the expense of consumers?
Sorry, time is up. A quick 10-second answer, please.
A 10-second answer. It's a great question. And again, it is the provinces and territories that have the regulators, and it is provincial regulators that decide who to allocate the power to, and they are in charge of those kind of rates, as you know. But we are supporting all across the energy spectrum, whether it's building power, investing in things like Darlington, or even as part of federal economic development, Ontario, investing in great companies like Northern Transformer that are building the transformers that are crucial to that power ecosystem. But a really important question.
We'll now proceed to MP McKelvey for 2 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. You did mention FedDev Ontario. I know that's also an important role that you are covering. Besides the Regional Artificial Intelligence Initiative, which maybe you could tell us a bit about that, can you also maybe highlight some of the different things that are happening through Southern Ontario to support the adoption of AI?
Thank you for the question. Look, Southern Ontario is being hard hit by the trade war. And we all appreciate that this is very much a region that is being very powerfully affected because of the auto sector and the steel sector. So I should just say that even FedDev, alongside Melanie Joly, the Minister of Industry, we are investing to make sure that we invest in our auto workers, into our Tier 1 and Tier 2 suppliers to those auto plants, as well as our steel industry. And as FedDev Ontario, we are supporting those advanced manufacturers. We've done that not only directly to invest in them with our regional tariff relief, but also we have a new program to help them pivot towards national defense. And many of those, so it's a dual use fund, and many of those investments are high tech. So we're investing in companies. Let me give you an example of a company called Acopia. That Acopia is a company that maps all buildings around the world. It is an advanced AI-based tech model that employs people, that does remarkable technological achievement, but it has dual use for military as well to help the men and women that are serving us in places like Latvia right now. So we're investing in companies to make sure that the current industries are here for the future, auto and steel, but also that these advanced manufacturers have the tools to manufacture in the future and build on this new economy. FedDev has also invested in companies. I'll give you another example.
Sorry for interrupting.
Like
time
Ada.
is...
So there's many great examples in this ecosystem.
Yeah. We will end this panel with MP Blanchet-Jonca for 2 minutes. Please go ahead.
Merci, Madame la Présidente. Simplement
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd just like to tell you that I'm going to table a motion, and we're talking about a strategy that, according to the government, is important. It's going to be a global leader, and there's public funds involved, technological choices that are very important, fundamental rights, and the government is refusing to tell us who was consulted and what the contributions that were made are. Where there's a summary, and it's not transparent given the ministerial responsibility and the role of this committee. So the motion is to provide the submissions that should have already been made public. So I'll read it. And pursuant to the standing order, that the Standing Committee on Science and Research order the Ministry of, or the Department of Innovation and AI to provide within the next 7 days all submissions with respect to governance and implementation of the Pan-Canadian AI strategy, either the list of all the people who made submissions, individuals, organizations, institutions, government institutions who participated directly or indirectly in public consultations, in targeted consultations, or in preparatory work, including information on all anonymously received submissions, as well as analyses and notes that allowed the acceptance of these anonymous submissions, written submissions, questions, questionnaires, documents provided in their totality, whether asked for or not. So I hope to have the support of my colleagues. This is a question of transparency and credibility, and if what was written was good, then the public should know about this. And we parliamentarians can't know what the nature of the consultations was in a complete fashion.
Jonka, we will have to suspend the meeting so that the motion can be circulated to all the members.
Madame la Présidente?
Yes.
Oui, la motion a déjà été circulée auprès de mes collègues.
The motion was already sent to my colleagues prior to the committee, so I don't see why we need to suspend the committee.
Okay, while they're going to debate this motion, that's all we wanted to catch anyway, was the first hour for the minister. And I did put the link in chat for the next one. That's going to be Stephen McKinnon in the Finance Committee, and he's going to have to answer. He's now the Minister of Transport, right? So he's going to have to answer for all these auto job losses and whatnot. So it should be a good little roast session. We've got a few good heavy hitters in the Finance Committee. So we'll be watching that, and he'll only be in for an hour. So we're just going to watch that for an hour, and that'll be the last stream for today. We've got some pretty good committees on tomorrow as well. We've got Proc in the morning, where Cooper and Barrett usually have been sitting together, and they're talking about foreign interference in our elections. So that'll be great in the morning. And then in the afternoon, we've got like 3 committees we could watch. I think we're going to stick with OGO, but we might watch Anita Anand for the first hour in the Foreign Affairs Committee and then switch to OGO. But so we've got a little bit of a break. We've got about 40 minutes-ish. There's the link in chat again for the next committee. And thank you so much, Wicked. Sorry, what is your name? Why is it like blocked? Wickenden? I don't know if I'm saying that right, man. I'm so sorry. But thank you so much for the 3 super chats. I really appreciate you, man. I'll see you guys shortly. Yeah, I got to run to the store real quick during this half hour. So I should be back in time. But